Okay, folks, no notice on this one, really. I'm just going to do this. I kind of been saying I'm going to do this for a while. So the topic for tonight, present, share screen. Okay, here we go. No, not that. Sorry, I got a lot of windows open here. I was trying to do a few different things before I started the stream. And I, where is it now? Come on. Oh, it's because I'm going full screen on things. That's why. I haven't used this software in a while, folks. So just in very limited amounts. So bear with me here. Oh, there we are. What? You talking about? All right. All right. So that's the slide for tonight. It's Saturday Night Fever. Of course, since I gave absolutely no notice on this, and we're about 2 minutes in here, so I'll give it a little bit of time before I start getting into the meat of things. And also, guys, it's like a holiday weekend and things like that, so I don't expect a whole lot of participation. But anybody who does wind up joining, hey, you're welcome. Thank you. And in the future, I guess you guys will have something to check out. But I'm going to do this regardless. All right, so I see it up on my screen there. All right, so some of what I'm going to get into here, and I'm going to put it on the screen here in a second. Hang on. All right. There's a couple channels that I want you to, and I'm going to give you links to their channels here in a second. I'm going to get the links here and put them in the chat section. One is James DeMeo's channel, and again, rest in peace, James DeMeo. And so I'll put that here. And then that's going to be up there on the screen there for anybody for future reference. And that way, sorry guys, I know my glasses look kind of goofy there. And then that way you have something for future reference. As far as like for James DeMeo's channel, because I could get some strikes if I decide to use that material on my channel during this live stream. It's happened to me before where I tried to use some of the material and then it kind of shut down the live stream. It didn't only just like get a copyright strike, it actually made it to where I had to end the stream. So I don't want to risk doing that, but I will get the channel up here in a second. All right, enter present, stop screen, okay, present, share screen, window. Okay, there it is. So here's James DeMeo's channel. And then what I wanted to sort of introduce you to just briefly is just, some quick things with, and again, I won't play the entire videos here because I'll get copyright strikes, but this is just to give you some like quick things to show you that we're not really talking about fluff here, folks. Like, at my level, I haven't really gained a lot of the sophisticated equipment and the ability to do the types of measurements that James DeMeo was able to do. And, he's obviously a guy that's more of a trained researcher with a PhD and that kind of thing. So, and I'm coming at things more at the frequency level and discussing energy and human energy at a frequency level. Like, what does the human body and brain do relative to the universal plasma field that we all exist in? So, and what do I mean by that? So, maybe that would be a good way to begin this discussion. Um, because that's inside a lot of the documentation involving energetics. And so I'm trying to think here because I can play my own material without getting dinged. But let me just expand this screen really quick here because this was a lecture where he showed bions, the existence of bions. It creates numerous radiant blue glowing bions. The grass structure completely broken down. There's many bions, rounded bion heaps. And so Bioness heaps can develop a membrane. About 20% will then develop a slow interior rotation, speeding up later on with a quick pulsation. And finally, with the outbreak of living paramecium, other heaps develop into amoeba or vorticilla, as firstly detailed by Reich in the 1930s. And so, if you think about it, like these types of experiments and what these what his focus, what this is showing you folks, and under a microscope, is that they can demonstrate that orgone or bioplasma or bioenergy exists within living matter. And that's basically been something that I've been trying to do. Well, look, I've been trying to figure it out one way or the other. I don't really have a bias or any what do you want to call it? I don't have any skin in the game, so to speak. I just really was trying to understand, like, what do people talk about when they say that that all of our different organs have a frequency, for example, or what do they mean when they say that all of our different chakras have a frequency, and what does that all translate to? And I'm not going to pretend to understand all those things, folks. I'm not, a chakra expert in the classic sense. I've learned quite a bit over the last few years, definitely. So I think I can speak to those things a little bit better than average. But no, yeah, I wouldn't, not like an Eastern mystic or anything like that. Mostly because I didn't approach it at that level. I was saying, okay, guys, I understand you're all talking about emotions and colors and that type of thing. I get it, and I respect that. I'm not suggesting that that doesn't have merit. What I'm asking you though is that, and I would say this over and over again. This is starting around 2016 when I was first starting to discuss these concepts after doing some interviews on like the Basis Project, things like that. A lot of people were trying to introduce me to the concept of orgone, and quite frankly, quite a few people introduced it to me very poorly. I got introduced to a lot of bogus concepts, namely, and you'll forgive me, folks, for buying. I wouldn't say I bought into them, but I at least put them out there a little bit as something that I was looking into or trying, and something that I'm a little bit more reluctant to do now, and I was more willing to do then. So, for example, products that involve manipulation of orgone fields that are very simple in nature and are made of crude materials. I'm not going to suggest that those things don't kind of sort of have something that they do or have an effect on things like anything that you build that has all those materials, sure. But they're not really built with the core principles of what Wilhelm Reich had in mind as far as like, what these things should do relative to the changing of orgone. So I want to show you this because this is like research that just kind of shows the evidence of bions within living matter, so that when we talk about thoughts become things, and I say that, okay, there's a structure to that, there's a measurable structure to your thoughts become things, that when you focus and concentrate on something, it begins to form structure within water membranes, and it actually has this like glowing light to it. Okay, now I want you to like consider that, because that really is sort of like breaking down the science of reality manifestation, and really at the root of, like, craft. I mean, whatever you want to call it, that's reality 101. That's getting down to the basis of how we all like share this 3D prism that we exist in. Okay. Okay, getting to another aspect of this, let me look up really fast here, Professor Emoto. Oh, sorry, not Armo. Sorry, hang on really fast. Actually, all right. I can't play this one all the way through. Oh, shut up, shut up, shut up. All right, sorry about that. If I if the audio actually plays through, I'll get dinged for the copyright thing just like that. This one's gotten me in trouble in the past, so I have to be really careful how I do this. Um, so again, guys, I want to be able to play this article for you, but I risk a copyright strike, so I got to be careful. So I'm just going to show you bits of it, like by scrolling through it. So basically, Professor Emoto, he created this experiment where he asked all of these kids to hang out in this room, and they stared at this glass of water here, and he says, I want you to focus on the word gratitude. Okay. And then they looked at the water, okay, through a scope before the experiment, and it looked like this. This was like tap water or city water. Basically, it was just them just getting something out of the sink and putting it there and saying, okay, this is what it looks like. So, without anybody doing anything to it, without any focused intention experiments or anything else like that, the water simply looks like this. Then he places this glass of water with the cell structure looking like this in the middle of all of them. And he says, now I want you all to think about gratitude and focus on the idea of gratitude while you look at this glass of water. And then they monitor the cell structure of the water. And so they continue focusing on gratitude. Then they look at the cell structure of the water again and notice what changes. It no longer looks like a blob. It starts to actually, as the experiment proceeds, they actually start to form. It's no longer a blob. It's no longer, what's that at 34, 33 seconds? It's no longer this. It goes from that in the beginning of the experiment to that. Pretty amazing. That's kind of what I was trying to discuss, guys. Like, especially lately while we've been watching the sunsets, those of you who have joined, is this concept of that it's not like I'm just pulling this out of my yin yang or something like that, just explaining it to you guys like, guys, we're all programming reality and we're all making it happen. It's like, no, like I'm understanding it. And I want others to understand it along with me if they assuming they don't already. Maybe I'm just slow to the game or whatever else like that. I have no idea. But it's important to me that people get it so that they get that, like when I start pointing out the rainbows and things like that, it's a scientific process that I'm explaining here. So that if I say, okay, yes, guys, love or hate or whatever else like that was probably some motivating factors or shared belief systems. I mean, a lot of these things, strong emotions generate biofields, extend biofields exponentially. It makes them go all over the place. And so when I'll give you an example, like, just simply the need for a shared interest that could just simply be earning a living could be what motivates a whole group of people to go to a center point where there's a shared vision, which is architecture plans to make a building. And then hundreds of people just show up there and work on it until it manifests into physical reality and becomes like some, you know, 40, 50-story building or skyscraper in some, city someplace. But what made that manifest? It was a whole bunch of people showing up someplace and focusing and concentrating on something and visualizing it and then manifesting it into physical reality. And so there's when you get past your ego and the day-to-day minutia of the tasks of what you're doing, it's about that. It's about that what I just showed you there. It's that experiment. It's that Mickey Mouse Fantasia aspect of everything that we're doing that we take for granted. And so don't take it for granted any longer, is all I'm saying. Once you stop taking it for granted and you understand that there is a physical process to this, then you actually have the ability to do something within the spiritual battle, the spiritual war, regardless of your physical state. See, they always want us to say that you act as if the physical state is everything and what's in the physical reality and what you have as physical matter is everything. When in all actuality, everything begins with the spiritual, everything begins in the aether, everything begins in the biofield. It all begins as an idea or a thought. And again, with this experiment, this is simply him having a group of children, focus and concentrate on water, thinking about gratitude, and it changes it exponentially almost immediately. I mean, the changes to the glass of water are just like boom. So what this would suggest scientifically, especially, and this has been stated by others, is that when you're younger, and I think you're generating, especially because you're still growing, and this probably will continue. You'll become very strong generators of positive orgone radiation, positive orgone in general, and that because that's part of what's making your physical body actually grow is the POR. You're actually building bions, which is generating your physical body into what it is. Then I would argue that once you've reached the state where you've actually grown into your maximum height and everything else like that, like in your early 20s, then what you begin to do with your biofield is more to do with things that are external. And this is a part of the life process. Just again, we take it for granted you know this is what you begin doing with your bions. You begin accumulating bions and then gathering with other people, and then you start having responsibilities, and then that in our physical reality as it exists today takes on going and being responsible and having jobs and reporting to a big office someplace or a plant or whatever else it is, or whatever your business is if you do it more small scale. I mean, so I just wanted to put this out here tonight, especially because I really feel like this is an important topic to discuss more scientifically and not have it be something where we're just kind of talking all foo-foo and everything like that. You know what I mean? Like this would be something that we're actually really discussing um at a tangible science-based level to the best of our ability. And what I like about DeMeo and Emoto especially is that they both add scientific data that's existed for decades. And once you accumulate their data together, combined with some other research that's out there, it really provides a compelling argument for how we're structuring reality. It bridges the science to the spiritual. And and so I really just wanted to like have some of those things out there tonight, especially because I've been showing you guys these sunsets every night, and I've been keep seeing these rainbows, and I know there's something to the way that these rainbows are manifesting. I don't think these things are just happening out of thin air. I mean, the last time that this was happening to me, at this kind of level where I was getting them that were like that strong, and then like actually being able to go through them, that's trippy to me because those aren't things that used to happen to me, guys. Like, when I was younger, I don't remember there ever being a situation where I could actually just walk through a rainbow. I just don't remember that ever happening. Um, in fact, I seem to remember it being almost impossible. I think it was one of those things where they were like, well, you can try to find the end of the rainbow, but you're never going to. It's like, it's physically impossible to find the end of the rainbow. So I'm kind of like, how the hell is it that it seems like there's been times where I'm like inside the end of a rainbow? Like it just seems like that, and it has happened more than once lately. And folks like that, like, well, that live stream. Let me show it to you because I can play my own video, and I'll tell you why I'm gonna play this because I believe that it represents this process that Emoto is talking about here. Like, I'm actually everywhere I'm going, I'm generating Bions. Okay. And I'm actually thinking pretty positively. And I'm actually in a state, personally, regardless. Yeah. So this is him showing, just to interrupt myself real quick. This is Emoto showing them all like what they're focusing on gratitude did to the glass of water. And you're there like going, whoa, holy shit, man, look at that. Wow. And so he's showing it to them on the equipment, playing it back so they can see what it did. And it formed that kind of snowflake cell structure when they focused on gratitude. But it also shows you the strength of the bions. I mean, like they together, because what I'm saying, folks, is that what they did to the cell structure of the water winds up being what people do to physical reality. The same care and concern that they demonstrated in that experiment, it translated the physical structure of the water. So I would argue if you put them all together to build a building, it would take on the same kind of perfection that that snowflake does because they care, because they have gratitude. It's genuine, and it expresses scientifically. Scientifically expresses itself in the water. So if that's not bridging science to spirituality, I don't know what is. That makes me feel really good about the world. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I'm glad I have somebody here that's it's like, watching this and everything like that. I mean, that's really cool. But I mean, again, guys, like me just having this awareness, quite honestly, is enough for me. To me, that's like reaching sort of like that thing that people, when you're trying to achieve something, when you're trying to like get that main goal, like the spiritual goal, what are you trying to get to me, what I've been trying to attain is understanding this, I think, and figuring it out. And I'm not going to say that I'm entirely there, but I know that this is a core piece of it because I keep getting all the signs of it around me. So Emoto does this. He shows them the cell structure of the water. That's him right there, Masaru Emoto. And just so you know, guys, it's gonna make me do a bunch of shit here. Hang on. It's just easier to do it on my phone right now instead of trying to do it the other way. The BioWell device that can measure energy fields. Professor Emoto actually did an experiment using the BioWell. Yeah, so this is my reading today, just so you know. But see, you can do these types of readings, like, so I can actually scroll through all mine. I have them all, like, the ones that I've done lately. Like I have one from yesterday. I didn't know I could do this. I've had the app on my phone for a long time, and I never logged into it. I was like, "Whoa, I don't." So you have to still take the measurements on a regular computer, but like I can store all my data. So I was telling you about the chakras and everything else like that. It measures the chakra system. So that's where I'm at the moment. Actually, I'm doing pretty good right now. That's actually pretty good on the chakras, but like I'll show you what I looked like a couple days ago. And it wasn't bad again. Oh wait, that's not bad either. Actually, none of these are really that bad. I've been actually doing pretty good with my chakra system, but I was a lot less balanced when I first started. This was about 5 days ago or a few days ago. So you can see like up here, it's a little bit off, and then I'm like way off down here. And what's cool about this is it actually will tell you, it actually gives you the energy reading, and it tells you, everything you need to know. So like if my red chakra is off, it says projection onto a physical level, the spine ending between the genitals, perineum area. Keywords: vital force, power, stamina. Its element is earth. Its energy is the energy of the earth. Its controlled feeling is sense of smell. Its psychological aspects are safety, prudence, patience, vigilance, selfishness, self defense, struggle. Its physical aspects are the adrenal glands, skeleton, backbone, spinal cord, kidney. Functional manifestations: movement functions, endurance, vital capacity, inner strength, love of living via body fitness. An effect from working with the chakra is the strengthening of the immunity, cheerfulness, endurance, decisiveness, optimism, and regaining the zest for life. That's kind of cool to know. So, yeah, that's all in there. And it gives you like energy readings for your body, telling you like what your stress levels are, and it kind of gives you, it's a if anybody is ever in the area and is familiar with the region that I'm in and wants to talk about doing some readings and things like that, it basically takes it takes energy readings from your fingers. And so these are some of the readings I can actually show you. It's not like this is some foofy piece of gear. That's actually taking them from my hands. And so what you're seeing is the specific measurements and the aura, the biofield that emanates from my fingertips. And it takes a combination of all of these things, and it produces a chart for the whole body. And so that you can get, so that when you're looking at this chart, it's more of a specific example based on all your chakra levels of what's going on with your different, with the different regions of your body, and how these types of energy readings can lead to greater awareness about what's happening in the different parts of your body. But see, the thing about the Professor Emoto is that type of device was used with the Sputnik, and that's the environmental reading. And so what they did was is so the same type of experiment you're seeing with Professor Emoto, like this type of device that I just showed you this chart for here, like this, you can get kind of a similar reading from this device with a thing called a Sputnik meter. And that's a device that basically, um, you plug it into the same camera, and instead of it doing like a snapshot of the human body, it does a snapshot of the environment. And so, say for example, you want to determine like, I'm trying to think about this because like I've sometimes miscommunicated this, guys, and it wasn't intentional. It's because I was still learning about it. But like, a better example of how you would use a Sputnik would be you would set up the meter someplace, like what Professor Emoto and Karatov did. And you would take your reading, before everything began, and then you would have something where like they come and do a focused meditation or a prayer or something of that nature. And you would the point of the Sputnik is kind of demonstrating how people can change the energy of an environment once they enter into it, and based on their actions of intention, prayer, meditation, or whatever else, that they can actually change the energy field in ways that can maybe even change the weather or the environment around. And so, in the experiment between Karatov and Emoto, they actually went out there and did a prayer exercise, and they actually saw rainbows just show up out of nowhere, like they like arc across the sky, really brilliant rainbows as they were doing their prayer meditation. And they did demonstrate using the same meter that I just showed you that it changed the environmental readings of the Oregon fields and the surrounding areas as well. So sorry, folks. Tonight I'm a little bit science and geeky and boring. So, but you might those who are more into that and everything like that. Hopefully, it's you'll enjoy it. But that's more or less what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. I mean, it didn't have to be anything too whatever and everything else like that. It was mostly just to sort of like kind of give you a quick idea of how that works, so that we're not talking about this at that sort of, like I said earlier, so we're not doing the Gaia Mother Earth thing. I want to talk about it more at a science based level. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go out with the rainbow clip or something like that. That might be a good idea. It's kind of a quiet night, folks. I know it's like it's the for those watching in the future, which is going to be most of you. This is um what do you want to call it? It's like say right after Black Friday and the holiday weekend and things like that. So it just doesn't want to show up. Okay, there it is. It's starting to get there. Yay. Oh wow. Okay. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. All right. I'm gonna play this and I'll be back. Everything's getting all wet. Look at this. It's raining, but look, 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 look. Look at this. Look at. Sorry, folks. Hang on. Oh my God, you guys! Look at these rainbows. This is awesome. Look at these things, man. Double rings and everything. Holy shit. Dude, what is going on today? Okay, I'm gonna take this moment to remind you of something, guys. I get excited about rainbows because I know what they really are. They're
This is the link between human brainwave. It is. These are psychoenergetic, emotionally driven events. And this is about awakening and awareness. This is about people linking up from across the world. This is about people sharing common values, ethos, beliefs. And this is us forming and structuring and manifesting reality together. You are witnessing it. That's what these rainbows really and truly are. These are psychoenergetic links. These are brains to brains meeting all across the world, spanning all across thousands of miles away. And it's happening. And it's reality. And this is what we're truly existing in, that your physical reality can bend just like that. Just like that. I have been watching these things like form all day, you guys. And earlier today, before a single one showed up, I said, I know rainbows are going to appear today. I know they are. I could see it. I could see it off in a distance when I was looking up at the cloud cover. I was like going, I see something luminescent and brilliant starting to show up there. And it wasn't even visible yet, but there was something that was appearing to me, like the color spectrum was changing right in front of me. Man, I'm telling you, look at these things. Look how bright they are. I had to show you this on a live stream, you guys, so you can see just how amazing this is. This is not like I'm here for real, guys. This is I mean, guys, you can even see it. Look at, you can see it reflecting in the
Guys. Okay, this I gotta tell you something, man. This blew me away. Look at this. I'm gonna zoom in on it. I wish you could have been there.
window.
I think that's as much as I can zoom. Look at that though. Can you see like right where my finger is? Okay, that's not painted. Nobody painted that on the window. That's not decoration. That is the vibrant reflection of that rainbow. That's its reflection in the freaking window. Like, I wasn't getting excited for no reason, guys. That camera could not possibly do it justice. And the thing about it is, like, I could have got like way better, like 1080 or whatever you want to call it, or even I think 4K footage. I think my camera can do 4K, but um, I wouldn't have been able to do that live. And it was one of those things where it was happening to me all day. And I'm like, nobody's ever going to believe this if I just keep recording it and posting it. It's like going to think I'm doing this with CGI or something like that, you know? Because it was just the way that they were like magical, guys. To me, they were. I didn't even see how it was possible what was going on. Like, can you imagine just like being inside one? Like, you can actually see the color band. You're like looking around and you're like going, am I on some shit? Like, I'm seeing like colors everywhere. Like, I wasn't on anything, you guys. I'm telling you, like, I was in that rainbow. I was driving across the bridge, and there's something about that I've noticed. It seems to be, I don't know what it is. Like, there's something about about crossing the bridge and the way that water goes, and then, you being on land, but it's not, and the water being underneath. And I don't know, maybe there's something like that about the way the rainbows are kind of like, because they're obviously not simply an arc, is I guess what I'm thinking here, guys. It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's something way deeper going on with these rainbows, is all, and that's why I'm getting more excited about them, guys. There's no symbolism or any bullshit like that behind it. I promise you. I'm talking about the science of it. I'm excited about like what's going on with that. You know?
Of this house. Look how bright that is. See that? That's that bright. That's that rainbow shining in the window of that freaking house. Why do I feel like?
I mean, look at that. I mean, guys, wow. Can you see how strong that color band is? Look how strong that is. It's almost like something is, and imagine this, guys, like that's what you're seeing on a live stream, on a crappy YouTube live stream. Like, it's raining, my camera is fogged up and things like that. if you were there and you could see it, it was just magic. It was complete freaking magic, you know?
This is something to get excited about, guys. It really is. This is brainwave to brainwave. These are people getting excited. This is like reality manifesting. We're witnessing like the whole fabric of reality, how easily it can manifest and how easily it can crumble. All of it. A negative reality can go away and a positive one can be swapped in its place just like that, because what you're existing in is that's bioplasma. This is the universal plasma field. God is showing their signature. Okay, so that you understand we're in rotational cycles of brainwave. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere, forming in between the vesica Pisces. What's inside here, inside there? Your pineal gland. It has piezoluminescent crystals. Piezoluminescent crystals that do what? They generate using plasma. Plasma fields, they generate these. They generate these things you're looking at back here. They go into the ionosphere and they structure our physical reality. I promise you that's how it works. That's why I wanted to show you one live so we can have this conversation. You can see real rainbows. You can see the real manifestation of reality. Guys, this is the Mickey Mouse Fantasia shit we're witnessing right now. Believe it. Believe it. Okay.
Did you see that deer run?
And I just had, oh my God, guys, look at this.
It ran too.
Hey, there's a deer. Right down there, just hanging out. Guys, I gotta tell you something. I'm sometimes a little bit like critical. Hang on, mate. I'm sometimes a little bit critical of Astoria, but this is a place where some pretty miraculous things happen. Some beautiful things happen. I had to share this with you guys because this to me is like really one of the coolest things I've ever seen happen here. And it's starting to go away already, guys. Like the ring that was over there is gone now, and we're just left with this one over here. And the other day I wanted to show you guys a rainbow the same way, and it went away just like that. I couldn't even film it. Like as soon as I got out of my car, it was like, whoosh, it was gone. But this time it stuck around. Guys, I just got my lunch. I haven't eaten all day. I just sat down to eat it. I had like, in fact, some of it might be on my teeth. I apologize. I was just that excited about this, but
Bucket bites.
I went down and got some fish and chips.
Oh no, custard too.
Now, but I wanted to share this with you. Thank you so much for joining. I cannot believe this happened, guys, and I'm so glad that you got to witness this with me here live today in Astoria. Thank you very much. You're beautiful people. Thank you for witnessing this with me. I love you all. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Thank you very much.
So yeah, I'm a little bit. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of what to do next. As far as like this type of material, I know I had something I was going to share with you guys that was from my channel that was like more than just like that, than just sort of like, because guys, this has happened like more than once. I don't know if you guys remember, but maybe I should do that really fast. All right, so this is what it's ago. I don't know what the exact date is, right? But if I go into my videos on my channel, hang on. I do a lot of videos, so I've like tried to see chronologically where I'm at with all of these because
It's easier just for me to scroll back to about the timeline. This is when I was doing a lot of the field research too, by the way. So this is where, for those wondering, like this type of thing is what I'm trying to get into now. And again, folks, last time I did this, this is when I ran into all the personal challenges. And so I think I feel compelled, not like I'm trying to like damn myself by any means, but I'm letting you guys know in advance, like, usually when I start getting to this phase of the research, like people get excited about it, but it creates all kinds of problems for me personally. And I don't welcome the problems. I'm not like going out and seeking them out or anything like that. It's just that it seems like this is the thing that like the powers that be absolutely don't want me doing because it is it's one of those things that really does tangibly bring something that's a spirit-based concept into something that's more scientific. Sorry guys, I'm just hanging out in bed here if you haven't noticed. I'm not trying to be super formal here. I prefer this over hanging out inside those. Actually, I will say this about the room that I'm in this time. There's actually chairs in this one. It's just that the desk isn't really that good as far as sitting in kind of thing. I kind of prefer this. So yeah, so Michael says, I would witness some really auspicious things after praying with the weather, clouds, light, and sometimes rainbows. So I feel like I want to find an article, but I always get challenged with like locating it. And I thought I had it downloaded someplace, but for some strange reason, again, it always seems to disappear right when I need to do a presentation. Um, but I can show you the actual presentation from Karatov, the inventor of the biowell. So I don't know if you saw it earlier there. Hang on. I don't know if you saw this earlier, but I showed people. All right. See this? So this is part of my research, folks. So like before I got into doing this, okay, measuring those, that's an actual measurement of my own biofield, okay? And and so the person that invented this device is named Dr. Karatov, and that guy is in Russia, and he basically did an experiment with Professor Emoto, who's Japanese. I can't remember where they met. It was either somewhere in Japan or maybe I think it was in Japan. But there was like a ceremony that involved exactly meditation and prayer, and they were curious to see like what would happen. Would there be weather changes? Would there be atmospheric changes? And they got way more in depth. I think they went beyond even like measuring with simply their bio well. And so with this type of same device, the way that this can measure I explained this earlier, but I'll do it again for those who've just joined. The same way that that can measure your human energy field like that, I can also use it with another device, and I have it, an environmental reader. It's called the Sputnik, and it's just this little. It's on a tripod, and it's like it looks like the weapon in the last some whatever. But it's I say that because like if you hold it, you don't want to like hold it wrong. It's very fragile and it's very spiky. And so if you even poke it a little bit, like you can bend it, but you can also easily make your fingers bleed if you hold it the wrong way. The point is though, it's like you set this environmental reader down and the fine points of those needles, it measures again, I don't understand the entire science of how they do it, but this environmental reader is able to detect subtle changes in the aether and the biofield. So the same way that that same camera can take a reading of this and create a digital video, or rather stop it, freaking light. You know what I need to do? Turn this down. That's the problem. Okay. There we go, Gabe. All right. Lo-fi solutions to your problems, buddy. Turn down the brightness on the phone. That's the solution. Okay. Okay. But they have one that can do environmental readings. It just doesn't produce a chart like that. It does one that's literally like in needles that go up and down like this, and it has a whole bunch of different fields that I'm still in the process of learning what they all mean. But you can basically see subtle changes in the energy of an area with that meter. The same, and again, so if you wanted to find out, like, does an individual change the energy of a room? Does a group of people praying change the energy of a room? These are the kind of things that I've been kind of fascinated by. Like, I'm curious about these things myself. I would like to know. I would like to measure that. I'm curious. Like, if I went to a church and I put that meter in there before the church, rather the before the sermon started, you know, and then kept it running as people joined that, and came into the church, and then monitored, to see how the subtle energy changes, went as, you put markers on it. You go, okay, now the sermons began. Okay, now they're singing songs or hymns or whatever. I mean, whatever happens, and this is more of a Christian model, I understand, but whatever happens in the church or the temple or whatever the holy, place of worship is, I'm curious in measuring any of it at a more science-based level, because much like Robert Beck, it doesn't matter what my personal beliefs are. I'm more interested in what do people do at an energy level when they have an ability that most people agree is an ability. So even if you disagree with their belief system, or like, again, a lot of people that have strong energy signatures a lot of times get involved with things like brujeria and Santeria. Now, I'm not into brujeria, and I wouldn't get involved with brujeria, but sometimes people who have strong energy signatures are specifically targeted very early to get into occult societies and witchcraft and things like that. They're targeted because they want them to be on their side. They recognize them as being people that make meters like the ones that I'm showing you. Again, what I'm telling you guys is that occult societies, they choose people based on this. I mean, the reason this is so important to know and understand is because, like, this is suppressed science because it's everything. It's everything to what they know about you. They know this about you. And if you don't know this about you, they can exploit this instead of you using it to manifest things for you and your family and for those that you love and care about. Instead of using this, see, what they wind up doing is, this is something that manifests physical reality, whether you can accept that or not, folks. But this is exactly what I'm trying to explain to you from the very beginning of this presentation. Some of you missed it. That's okay. I mean, I just kind of did this off the cuff. I showed how James DeMeo showed under a microscope that bions glow. So I'm going to go back and show you something really quick so that we're not just going blah, blah, blah. Let me go back. Here we are. Good. I didn't lose it. So those of you who didn't see this early on, I'm just going to show you really fast. Sorry, my connection might be like lagging a little bit, so bear with me here. This is contemporary bion research and related findings in biology. So I'm not going to try to get way super scientific on you all, because again, I'm a guy that I don't have a PhD, so I can't explain these things to you at that PhD level. I can explain it to you at a frequency engineer level, which is different than a biology level, which is James DeMeo's thing. And unfortunately, like I was telling you guys earlier, James DeMeo passed away in April of this year. Rest in peace, because he was one of the only people that was continuing the orgone research that Wilhelm Reich began. Well, let me put it this way: that Wilhelm Reich sort of modernized. I mean, this is like ancient concepts of energy. Like none of these guys invented or were the first to discover it, any more than I would be or anybody else would be. Like nobody's discovering this. It's just that it's suppressed, I think, because of what it really means to physical reality. Like those who really understand this, they know it structures physical reality. They know it changes and bends physical reality. Um, and so there's a scientific process. By the way, guys, look at that. I mean, the guy lived in Ashland, Oregon, for crying out loud. Like I was this close to James DeMeo for so long, and the problem was, guys, by the time like I got to the level where I was sophisticated enough to even begin to like go, okay, you know what? I think now I can have an intelligent discussion with maybe a guy like at James DeMeo's level about this. I might actually go and approach him right at the moment where like it's almost like this like, as soon as that thought occurs to me and express it out loud, that's when somebody goes, hey, it would happen in my live chats. They go, James DeMeo is dead, and I'm like, what? So yeah, that happened like last April. um and he did this research that I'm about to show you here. Those who didn't see it in the very beginning, you can actually see bions through a microscope. Okay, creates numerous radiant blue glowing bions. So this experiment that he had, it specifically says they're radiant blue glowing bions. And so Wilhelm Reich also discussed being able to bottle and contain bioenergy, and that it expressed itself when it was contained and bottled or when he was able to observe it. He also said that it had like this bluish purplish glow to it. So we are dealing with a concept that's provable, folks. I mean, let's not talk about this like it's, we have to get out of the Gaia Mother Earth and like, you know, let's talk about the spiritual you. Okay, great. Let's talk about all those things. That's all cool. I mean, I'm happy about all those things, but like you really got to get down to like so people can really get it at this level, because if you disconnect people from the education of being able to understand it like this, they're faking it. I mean, they may be able to believe in something enough to where they can actually make something happen, but when you really need to get the work done that matters, like when it comes to like the spiritual heavy lifting, you can't be faking it. You can't be. I mean, you can only do that. Only that to yourself, the same way any of us do, right? What I mean to say though is like really understanding this concept instead of it just being something that we speak to as fluffy words in Gaia Mother Earth, language. Folks that used to watch my streams a couple years ago used to know like that used to be the thing I would do all the time. I go Gaia Mother Earth, because it's like the thing that I don't like about this, guys. Like I really wanted to research these things, but I'm always having to fight the the new age nonsense aspects of it. And I'm always trying to find people that, look, there's only so scientific that I want to get myself, right? I'm not trying to be that boring with it. I want this to be fun. I don't want this to be whatever. I want everybody to be able to be like, do this at a pretty basic level and go like, whoa, that's really cool. Because it doesn't have to be that complicated. I mean, a lot of the complicated things have been figured out by the biologists, like with PhDs like James DeMeo already. And what I'm trying to do is just break it down to where, like, when somebody says to me, like this chart I'm showing you, like, okay, people used to show me this all the time, just as an example. Hang on. They used to show me these like chakra charts, see how it lines up with the body and everything like that. And there's a different color on each one. And all right. And then they would explain to me how each one of these colors had a different frequency. And then I would challenge people to say, like, okay, so what frequency is that? You know, can you tell me what it is? And then in the rare exception that I was actually able to get somebody to nail down some numbers for me, I would say, okay, you just showed me a chart that says all of these different frequencies for different organs and these different other things like that. Can I please ask, how did they get this in, or did they actually measure this from something? Because I'm like wondering, like, do you attach, like, how do you find out what your chest chakra frequency is? Do you attach um a spectrum analyzer with some near field frequency meter and have it hover like a certain amount of millimeters right in front of the body? I mean, there's got to be a method of procedure to generate the results, and if you're going to be taken seriously, you should be willing to share how you get your results with a larger community. I admit, guys, I don't always know what's going on with this meter that I'm using, the helionosis thing, for example. I just know that sometimes when I do different things with it, I change some settings on it. I try different things to different types of meters. I follow some of the directions by the helionosis, and sometimes I deviate from their directions, but I get some different results in different places. And the thing that was the most compelling to me was like finding that there was life energy near a tree in the desert in the middle of the Sierra Nevada desert, and that's the article that seemed to get a whole bunch of people excited about my channel, like that normally like ignore, well, not ignored it, but like people that weren't familiar with my work yet. It created like a slight buzz amongst some people to where it seemed like they were kind of like starting to show up and go like, "Hey, are you that guy that measured that tree?" To see that it had an energy signature to it. And for me personally, to me, I got excited about it. I mean, I'll show it to you guys again, those unfamiliar with what I'm talking about. It was right here. The Crystal Geyser, Alancha, Oregon life measurements, tree root versus sand. Okay. And I basically was kind of curious. Like, for example, um, I like drink water, and I like the Crystal Geyser water quite a bit. And I've always kind of wondered why that's a water that I gravitate to, aside from the fact that it's, again, it's not expensive, but I don't buy water just because it's cheap, and not tap water. I mean, again, sometimes I do because I'm on a budget and I just want anything but tap water. But yeah, but Crystal Geyser tends to be a brand that's a little bit more affordable. I'm not doing a commercial here, guys. It's just why I drank it. So it got to be one that I was starting to do some tests with. And again, I still have yet to use my water probe. I do have a water probe for testing these things too at the BioWell. But it's not really for measuring the types of water. It's more about how the person's emotions or actions impact the water while the water probe is inside the water. So I'm having to figure out more experiments to use with that. Anyways, point is, let me play this article for you really quick, so you can see it. It's only a few minutes, and it's basically where I took a soil probe out to Olancha, and this is near California Nevada border. They're near the Sierra Nevada mountains, and if you start traveling out towards a town called Lone Pine, right out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, there's this town, and I found this tree off the highway, and I measured it, and I found it had a significant life energy signature. So what I mean to say is that when I put the probe near the root structure of the tree, the meter showed signs of life. When I pulled it away from the tree and went feet away from it where the root structure wasn't, I didn't see any. So hang on really quick.
Everybody, I'm near where the Crystal Geyser fountain is, I guess, where that water comes from, if you're familiar with it. Olancha. And so it's hard to find spots where you can get to that's nearby. So I found somewhere near the highway that's kind of near where that Crystal Geyser water facility is, where they get all that nice clean water from out here in the desert. near the Sierra Nevadas, and you'll notice that when I plug my meter in and I'm next to a tree, about 0.48 on the multimeter, but then here it's about 60% and in the positive orgone radiation spectrum. So I thought this was kind of interesting as I take the probe out and I move it to some place that's not next to a tree. Now watch how this changes. Okay, now I'm not next to the tree. Now I'm just in the sand about a foot away. Now look what happens to the meter relative to that. Now, when you're far away from the tree, you're closer to about 30 to 35. I guess you could call that pretty close to 33. Wouldn't that just be special? And then over here, we're about 0.39 comparatively. So when you're just in the soil, you see how that is? 0.39. When you're not that close to the roots comparatively. Now watch how it changes when you go right next to the tree. Look at that. See, the tree has a lot of life flowing through it. Wow, look at that. See how much the meter changes? Because when you're right next to the beach water, you're closer to 35, 38, 33 I've seen out there. And look at that. So lots of positive orgone when you put it right next to the tree. That's a really cool finding. To me, this really says something right here. This is like one of the only times where I did a little side-by-side comparison and saw a big difference. So I don't know, guys. We're showing that trees have life, that they breathe life comparative to just somewhere like a foot away from the soil. And when you get close to those roots, look at that meter reading comparatively, you're way up there on the orgone reading. And you get these fluctuations on the multimeter. Pretty interesting. So we're here by the Crystal Geyser Water Facility, a tree right off the highway near Olancha. Thanks. Okay, now I'm not next to the tree. Now I'm just in the sand about a foot away. Now look what happens to the meter relative to that. Now.
And then if you put it right in the side of the tree, like you really put it like right at the cell structure right there. See right there into it. Rockets right up to the, I mean, that was like such a huge difference compared to like when you couldn't get anything like that when you probe the different soil. Like if you were just to like stick that soil meter anywhere in the sand, it would always be like way, way low. So just things like that I was doing back then with the meter, just trying to figure out, what its function is and what it does. Because there's not a lot of documentation around about it. It's not like there's, a lot of guidance. You basically can just get these meters. You have a handful of demos that are given by people that volunteer to do it, that are out there. Like the guy that invented the meter, James DeMeo himself, did some experiments with them and has some methods of procedures regarding it. But outside of the inventor and James DeMeo's things, there's really not a lot of guidance on what to do with these meters, and so it's just sort of a learning process. But those unfamiliar, I don't want to unbox anything, but like you can that blue disc you see right there is one way you can measure things. You can literally just place little samples of like a vial of something and see if it has any life to it. Like you could place a leaf in there, or say somebody said that there was like some fluid that was like, well, no, this has what do you want to call it? Like this has all kinds of sort of like life affirming properties in it. It's the healthiest, most concentrated, healthiest juice ever. Well, you could put it on that little blue disc there and see if it changes the meter compared to like a water sample of just plain tap water. Things like that you can do that can verify or whatever. Like say you actually tried this little tonic somebody made, you're like, I have no idea why this works. It just does. And then you placed it on that blue disc and it made that meter similarly go up to like 90 or 100. And then you compared it to tap water and it stayed closer to like, 20 or 30, for example. I mean, it's things like that you can do with the life meter that can sort of help you you know, verify if whether or not you're sensing something, if there's some data behind it that's more than just I feel that way or I sense something that way. Because I can't stand that. I mean, that's just, I mean, again, with this type of research, it's you're it's like you're measuring intuition and you're having to like you know what I'm saying? So it's like uh it's one of those things where you're like, how do you tangibly prove that you've done something with intuition or with intention or intention based energy? It's trippy, but that's basically what we're kind of getting into with this. If you're kind of like following the research, so um, what I'm trying to get into now is so the part of what was slowing things down was is those soil probes that I had. The one that I had stopped functioning. It had been sort of like yanked apart, and it needed to be repaired anyways. So I have that one repaired, and then I basically after I did my work things, I ordered another two of them. That way, I could have three soil probes that I would never be in a position where I would have to order them and wait, or you know, that's half my problem, guys. I just don't stay anywhere very long. So being on that contract was really good. I was there for 6 months. I could actually, you know, be someplace where I could get parts to arrive. So I was able to get some soil probes, so I can actually do these same types of tests again. And again, now I've got three, two that are brand new and one that's the old used one that's been repaired, which I probably won't use. I'll probably just scrap that one for the time being and only use it in an absolute emergency or do a side by side comparison to see if it's even any good anymore. But I know I have two brand new ones now that I can start doing measurements with. So that's going to be the next phase of things is kind of demonstrating in various places, like, you know, where, say, for example, that there was some different areas that you felt strongly that had like you felt really good in your backyard, or you felt like there was this park that you go to where there's a stream and it makes you feel amazing. Like this series of devices, you know, where you take something like the life meter data and you combine it with this biowell meter that shows your chakra system relative to your actual biofield, like this, something like this, and then environmental readings like that. You can produce reports all together that can actually, you know, demonstrate that something tangible is actually happening in certain locations where people say that, you know, people are getting quote healed or they feel better when they're there. I've had a lot of people discuss this with me privately or even in these chats about how there's different places where they go and they have no idea why, but they just feel like completely different there. They know there's something special about those places and they just can't put their finger on it. Well, that's what's exciting about this research. Like, this is how you can actually say, okay, well, let's go one place that makes you feel amazing and that you always feel great. And then if you want to, just as a basis of comparison, we can go to another place where that makes you feel kind of blah. Just, you know, just again, not for a long time, but we can like try one place versus the other so you can see how the energy reading is different there, how, you know, like things like your biofield will be different there, those types of energy readings inside the earth will be different there. I mean, these are tangible data points that we can actually associate with whatever's going on with the way you feel relative to a geographic location. And then we start getting into the more deeper things involving, you know, psychoenergetic, bioenergetic research involving like how do people affect places, events? Can people generate rainbows? Are people a big part of generating these rainbows that are existing? I mean, you know, what is the cause of these things truly? I think that there's a lot to that, is all, guys. I mean, personally, I think that really what you merge
There we are. All right. So I had to like dump off of the Wi-Fi in the hotel, which I thought I'd have to do because it's like anytime I talk about something when I'm getting to the real fabric of what the whole topic is, especially like suddenly I'll have Wi-Fi problems and like the whole channel will start to crash. And it was right as people are starting to comment too, which is really weird. So thank you for your comments, and I'm going to get to them in a second. But let me finish this thought. I'm not even sure if this is the connect. Yeah, I'm on this connection. Okay, so let me show you this really fast. What I'm suggesting to you folks is okay. Let's just pretend that these are the biofields, not like mine, like front, left, right. That these are different people that are just standing there. This is three different people. And then what I'm suggesting to you is that those biofields begin to dissipate the further away you get from the physical body. So yeah, it's you see the hang on, sorry. All right. So you see the color spectrum here now, but it begins to dissipate until you no longer see that. And no, and you know, some people can see an aura and some people can't. Okay, I have no doubts that some people can see them. Okay, and that when they see them, yeah, they visualize this color band a little bit sooner than the average person does because there's something that's a little bit different about the way their eyes work and their brains work. People, for example, that have synesthesia process these types of things far differently than the average person. I mean, so not everybody is equal or the same when it comes to all of these things, you know. Um, so again, guys, I'm sitting in a hotel bed here, so you just have to forgive me. I'm just doing the best with what I got going on. I was reluctant to do this one specifically because I knew there would be shenanigans with the Wi-Fi right at a critical moment. So let me talk about this. Basically, though, when a few people get together, though, like it's as simple as their idea could just be something as simple as going camping and setting up a tent. And so they had the idea to build a tent, and they placed the physical materials together, but their biofields met together with the idea. You see, they visualize the idea of the three people going like, "Hey, we're going camping. Let's pitch this tent." But see, that was the invisible biofields that were merging. It's made visible through this device. You can see it, you can actually visualize it. But what winds up happening as a result of everything that exists in this biofield? Well, it's the physical reality we wind up existing in. So we take for granted that this process exists. We're constantly taking it for granted. And so that's been a big part of like what you see me going through when I'm doing all these sunset things and out there just going like, are you guys seeing this? Are you seeing it? To me, it's all beautiful. Like I just think it's like remarkable. I love what's going on right now. Yeah, the world's an effed up place right now. My personal situation's pretty effed, to be honest with you. It's not in a great place right now. But I feel very, very happy and contented because I know that there's something remarkable that's actually going on right now. That everything that's going on to stall and lag it is really just that. It's just that something's out there just says like no no no, it's like the Grinch that stole Christmas or something like that. The Grinch that stole physical reality is stomping its feet going no no no, you cannot have your physical reality, I get to control it through you. No, I'm telling you guys, this, you own this. This belongs to you, and you can decide with others what to do with it. And all right, that's what I was trying to get deeper into talking about earlier today. And I was kind of mumbling my way through it earlier, so forgive me. Because I don't want to like make this last forever tonight. Um, um, all right, because I'm trying not to feed it too much energy, but like, you know, this story that's been going on.
here with this fashion company doing some pretty obvious like child exploitation photo shoots that are really just horrible and obvious and whatever, right? Um, and again, I'm the kind of person that historically, like when I see somebody doing something in a maybe more in a comedic environment, I might be more open to that being satire or being making comment on the very thing that somebody might accuse them of doing, for example, because that's kind of how things work sometimes. Sometimes people are just trying to create pointed material, and so they take on the behaviors of said show. One time, these guys are just trying to point out ignorance and things like that, and so they did this really crude, um, like half-hour long episode that was like a whole repeat of like their own rendition of Hee Haw, like how they envision hee haw, how it looks through their eyes and things like that. And I remember thinking to myself, well, the way that they're doing these jokes so straightforward, there might be people out there that from that type of background that might actually think it's a reboot of hee haw and might actually take it as straightforward funny instead of commenting on sort of like somebody who's ignorant, right? In either case, sometimes people I think lack sophistication in evaluating these things, but that's not what I think is going on with this fashion thing. I think it's way deeper. I think it's them just 2.0ing, 3.0ing what they've done historically by putting it out there for everybody and knowing that it's going to create that outrage, already having a prepackaged narrative complete with people that call it out. See, guys, what they're doing now is they're falsely creating new heroes within their own industry to call out the bad behavior of other people within the industry through a character that they themselves created. It's a company that they just sort of created out of thin air. Now they can create a bad guy and a bogeyman to blame all of their things on, but this is a company that's just part of a much larger chain of a whole bunch of other companies that do something very similar. So now everybody's going to be so focused on these things, which by the way is a big part of their game because everything you focus and concentrate on puts things into physical reality. It manifests things into physical reality, and they know that. So when you think about their name of their company, you're feeding it energy. When you think about the names of all the characters that they introduced to you on YouTube about that story, you're feeding it energy. You're feeding it this biofield energy. Right here, this biofield is going to those people. You know, what happens to theirs? It goes, "Mm, mm, mm." They get all Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with your bioenergy because you are focused and concentrated on them. You're giving this. This is literally, guys, what giving away your energy looks like. Focus and concentrate on them, you give away your energy to them. And they become more influential and more powerful. How does that manifest into physical reality or our daily experience? You wind up with your friends getting on Twitter and YouTubes and all these other places and repeating their names. People that you never ever said their names before, now you know who they are. Now you know who all kinds of fashion industry people are that you didn't even pay attention to before. But you're going to know who they are now, aren't you? Because a whole cast of characters is all going to be rolled out to say, that's bad, or I don't see what the big deal is. See, they're going to have people that are on both sides playing both sides of this thing, but they're both on the same side. It's all a big cover up because this is the industry. If the MSM covers it up, it's just so they can have a bogeyman to start pointing at. The whole industry is this. The whole industry is exploitation. People don't get anywhere without doing it. So for the people that are playing dumb and acting like, oh, so these things don't go through without extensive approvals, it's like bullshit. This is how it all works. So I don't buy all the things that are. I don't even pay attention to it. Quite honestly, I don't even know why I'm giving it this much attention here. Um, it's basically because I don't want this group to. So again, I don't want this to be us. I was trying to think about how I was going to even approach this topic. So what I'm not going to do is go through and examine every photo. and go through every corner and go like, you see what this says right here? This is a court case that talks about child exploitation. You see this here? This is a thing that has this doll represents this, and this is what they use rainbows for, and this is what they use dead teddy bears for, and this is, I mean, we could go through all of the symbolism of MK Ultra and what they do with mind control programming and all of it. And we'd be focused and concentrated on that for what, a good week or two, instead of doing what? This is the game of the news. They're not informing us, they're programming us. They're not informing us. News programming is just that. And guys, stop thinking of that as some type of like fancy way of discussing, you know, hey, they're programming you. No. Okay, let's talk, let's go through the science again if I have to. You have bions that you generate, thoughts become things, and thoughts become things are bions. So when you place your energy into something, you'll generate bions and you'll put that into it, and those bions will glow, and those bions will manifest into something physical. This is the Mickey Mouse Fantasia. Dancing elephants, sends his wand that way, sends his wand that way. What Mickey Mouse is doing is generating bions, thought form entities, and placing them out into the aether. And that's what you do, that's what I do, and that's what we all do together. And when these three people get together, they generate a larger biofield with their shared values and beliefs. And that begins to structure new realities. I get excited when I see rainbows because guess what? New realities are being structured. Those are ideas finding their way from in the aether from one place to another, one perceived place, one perceived time, and one perceived location. But it's all just an experience. We really are just these little oscillating energy fields when we really get down to it. So yeah, I mean, there's that. And then we see this in the trinity of human energy. We see this, right? The gray, but one is this biofield around it. And all I'm saying is that the same way that your human body not breaks down, but it goes from the biofield to what you see here with your physical skin and into your skeletal structure, so does all your thought form entities. Like your parents thought about each other, or they got horny, or whatever it was. They thought about something that made them think sexy time, and then you got created. And so that's hyper focused bions. Those bions get big, 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 glow, glow, glow. And something happens within the universe that says it's that those bions are going to sum to life. And then you become a person. You become another one of these bion generators. When you break it down to what you really are past your ego. And then again, why do you think a lot of our cultures have large families, you know? It's because they know that there's a lot of people that need to be there to that have these. And the more you have of these working in your behalf with a shared value system, the bigger invention you can make. The more family you have, the bigger manifestations in the physical reality you can generate. That's the genetic game. We can talk about that another time because I'm not about to get into eugenics and everything else like that right now. But yeah, that's a part of it. So the game of the news programming is exploiting your biofield so that it goes into your brain and gets you to output bions that NBC told you to generate, that ABC told you to generate. I don't know about you, but I don't want anybody on The View telling me what to do with my bions. I don't want any news anchor on MSNBC deciding what to do with my bions. And every time I watch them, every time I focus on them, even if it's to comment on something stupid they're doing to get a zinger at them, I still feed them energy. Trump said it himself, all publicity is good publicity. What do you think that means? All publicity is good publicity. Trump has always known the Bion game, whether he understands it or not, because every time you think of Trump, if this is Donald Trump, this field goes. He becomes a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man the more you think about him. Love him or hate him, it matters not. He gets more influential and stronger. Fact. That's why the media is what it is. So we're making them what they are. We're giving it away when we could be doing it ourselves. Why do we do that? Why do we let them decide who the gatekeepers are to the manifestation of our physical reality? Because that's what it translates to. I would argue, ladies and gentlemen, like they talk about the nuclear weapons and chemical weapons and all these other things like that. I promise you, the deadliest weapon that has ever existed is broadcast media. And I like a lot of it. It doesn't have to be a weapon. I'm telling you that what's been done with it is weaponized bioenergetics, psychoenergetics. It's understanding this process of how we manifest physical reality intrinsically and backdooring the perceptions of every person in the global population to manifest the new physical reality that the people that control those broadcast satellites and news stations and television programming and producers and directors and all that, they decide what winds up becoming our physical reality because we opt into this process. Because look up, what else you got to choose from but what these people that launched those satellites up in the air told you you can watch? And who are they? Do you know? Do you know? I happen to have something handy here. This will actually be good. And thank you to Valery Uvarov's YouTube channel for having this, because it's probably one of the only places I can find it. He's got it in one of his he posted it way deep inside his. Oh no, wait a second. I got it from. Hang on. I have a whole playlist of his clips. They're there. Okay. A real life pyramid builder here, though. This guy is freaking genius. And on his channel, he's got this documentary called Secret Space. I don't want to. Oh no! Don't play the audio. Stop. Okay. I'm trying to find a spot where they get into like the Nazi history of NASA. Well, all right. So there's all this footage basically, and I think that's him right there, Werner von Braun. Yeah, okay. So basically, in this documentary, Secret Space, they kind of give you the Nazi history in America of the space program, and it's just something that's concealed history here, guys. Like, in our history books, they never sit there and go like, so anyways, guys, like, let's just sit down and like talk about what reality is. This is reality. NASA was really spearheaded by three top Nazi SS scientists. Fact. It was mainly headed by one of the most notorious main Nazi SS scientists, Werner von Braun. For some strange reason, in America, to this day, we have arenas named after Werner von Braun. Well, arena. We have a Society of Science and Space Exploration named after him. I think there's a statue of the guy somewhere in Alabama. I mean, hell, you couldn't have rolled out the carpet more to these Nazis than we did. Now, let's talk about how we've had our television delivered to us since NASA began. Who's the decision makers? Who's the kingmakers? Who's the gatekeepers of all of our perceptions pretty much globally at this point? You can really point the finger to that decision, can you not? I mean, folks, think about this. Satellites are up there because they say so. They're in the positions that they claim because this group of people that have Nazi origins say so. You can't go up there and find out. I'm not saying that they are or aren't there, guys. I really don't know. I'm saying that when somebody tells me there's like hundreds of these satellites floating around up there, and I have yet to see one photo of one taken from a satellite beam back down to here that shows other satellites around it. And then I got to wonder how come they're not crashing into each other left and right and space junk ain't like raining down everywhere. It almost seems like somebody thought of the idea like Nazis way back then goes, hey, you know how we can trick all of these Americans into giving us money to like drill underground and create tons of these Shangri-Las and bases and military installations underground? We point up and make them dream of space exploration. We just generate a whole bunch of special effects. We'll go and do what we do on our own. We'll report back to them the little special effects show that makes them all go ooh and ah. That satiates the American government because they just want to beat the Russians at something. Rinse, repeat. And they control broadcast satellite. And you think they relinquish control over the years? Or do you think it just goes generation after generation and they all become the decision makers? Because that's sophisticated shit up there. Not just anybody gets to decide how to manage those things. No, that's just something once the responsibility's there, you're pretty much stuck with the people that are doing it. So all those broadcast satellites for old CNN, ridiculous CNN that we know is like left and right lying to us, CNN. You don't have to be left or right or be a Fox lover or an MSNBC hater or lover or anything else like that to know CNN is just completely full of shit. So who allows them to beam this signal down to us that lies to us constantly, and who gets to decide who's on CNN? Why isn't it me? Why isn't it you? Why isn't it somebody far more talented than the shills that they have on there? Guys, don't you think I'd do a better job at reporting the news? I'd actually have the balls to go out and do some investigative reporting. I'd be fearless. Nobody wants me because it's all fake. I don't fake it. So I won't get a show on one of these major cable shows, cable broadcast shows. You have to stage things. It's the only way to do it. I actually have a brilliant idea for a reality show. I already told you guys. Like I come up with ideas that I know are bulletproof good ideas. And then I kind of wait and I'm like, they still don't do it. Hey guys, you know I got family members that have media influence. They could do it. They could snap their fingers and make it happen. I think the only reason why I got on Basis Project was because I didn't know anything when it happened. I was ignorant, you know, and they were like, "Well, this is perfect because this will be etched in stone. We'll put out some interviews. This guy doesn't know shit yet. He sounds pretty ignorant at this time." And I wasn't that bad, guys, but yeah, I was. I still didn't know what I was talking about yet because I was trying to figure it out. And I say it in all the interviews, like I'm asking questions. I don't know what's going on. And I'm glad I said that over and over again because I wasn't trying. Even now, I don't try to put myself out there, quote, as an expert. I just show you that I'm measuring it. I can measure it. If you want to pay me to measure you, I'll measure it for you. Or if you want to barter or something like that for me to do measurements, I'll do that. However you want to work it. But I'm showing you guys that, like I can do these things. I can do things like, hang on, these. I can do these measurements and I can do the ones that with that life meter that I just showed you, measure your environment or actually give you a biofield measurement that'll actually give you things like when it gives you the analysis and the energy, hang on here, like you can get like a part of what you get is the biorhythm chart showing where you get the peaks of your energy cycle, emotional and physical and that kind of thing. And I found it to actually be pretty reliable. You know what I'm saying? Like it actually follows with things. I'm not actually looking for it like a horoscope and programming my reality. I'm actually kind of going like, wow. And I look back on my chart, I actually did get kind of tired right when it said that my physical cycle would be at its lowest. I mean, that actually did happen. So, wow. How about that? Um, all right. So sorry, just catching up on comments here. I think I've seen most of them here. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, I appreciate everybody who's commenting and things like that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them or whatever. Um, but what I was going to say though is just getting a little bit deeper into that though with the news thing. Um, this is part of like why like things have gotten so tense right now globally is it's coming to a head right now, this reality manifestation aspect in bioenergy education. It's been one of those things where I think a lot of people understand it, but they took it for granted. I think even people that are in Eastern countries that are more into Eastern mysticism that already understood it, I think even they, on some level, took for granted what the media cycle does and the consumption of media does to broadcast, what it does to manifesting things into physical reality. And the people that have been playing this game, they understand and they're fully aware that by lying and repetition to us, they can actually make things happen. If you keep trying to lie about something that gets people angry about a race issue, about a gender issue, about whatever it is, they're always going for those seem to be their hot button issues now, is really going for things that involve a person's gender identity and race. And that's really kind of at the core of what makes us well, I was gonna, yeah, it does make us human, but what I'm saying, like, should it? Yeah, I guess it should. I mean, life is created, procreation occurs through the sexual attraction between a man and a woman. That's just a fact. ladies and gentlemen. I don't say that out of any animosity to somebody from any other culture or from any other group. It's the trinity of energy. Man, woman, merge, create the new life. So they form, their spheres form, they create the new one that gets into the womb of the mother. It does that whole thing with the thing that I learned through this whole process was is that life process is the earth, that every continent is like a part of the body. Like a leg is, South America, and maybe Africa is the other thigh and leg, and then Europe is like the chest, and then you got, this all used to be part of like the merged pieces of the larger body, and then over time it's just become into this whatever. Like we perceive it as this globe thing or whatever, but it's just one big body. And it just keeps replicating the process through the little miniature bodies that are on it. That's all. I mean, it's a Mandelbrot thing, guys. We just, our egos don't allow us to see it that way any longer. And that's okay. But recognize what the news is doing. Recognize like what stories like this thing that just came out trying to get us angry. Like that's that, I got to tell you guys, like that's when it's like almost like it's designed to get me to talking about it for like a week or two. So I'll just go, and this, and this, and this, and take this fashion industry and take this media. And they want me to like over examine it and come out swinging and generating DOR spectrum energy that feeds into all the terms that they're trying to like give power to. And again, if they can get a whole bunch of people like you and I to focus on their name, that alone is enough. So I didn't want to do this in aid of facilitating that, any more than they've already done. But I did want to call out the game while it's fresh in everybody's mind, so that we can kind of understand that it's not just that story, that this is something that it's a constant game for our minds, programming us through their programming, and that we really should take the term television programming for what it means and think of it more like a computer program. Programs change the behavior of the computer. You install the program, you run it as an application, and then the machine begins to do things on behalf of the software application. So the programs that they're running on the news have a deeper meaning. And we need to get more sophisticated about maybe not hyper examining what they're doing, because that only has so much value, because you're still, again, you're feeding into it. So yeah, do it for a while to where you can do it and you've figured it out. But this is where you've got to, I'm not trying to, look, guys, I'm going to tell you my own personal way I've been dealing with it. But once you get to that point, you've got to figure out this sort of way to find that happy balance between not feeding it by consuming what people are throwing at you excessively, but also not being the kind of person that just ignores things and let it all fall by the wayside. So like with this issue, like, yeah, it's relevant. It's relevant to my channel. I got to discuss it, but I can't sit there and discuss the minutia of the case, because that's what they want you and me to do. And sometime if you guys want to, I mean, I don't mind doing it a little bit. I mean, like, again, like if it's about like just a native, like clarifying, like, or whatever, figuring out whatever some things are, great. But my gut's telling me that this latest thing is because more or fewer people are watching television, and that used to be the way to backdoor our perceptions. And they can't get us to watch television anymore. And moreover, they can't trick, again, they need to genuinely put things into our collective perception. That's something they need to do. They're willing to fake numbers. Yeah. Like they'll say like a show has millions of viewers right out the gate. Why? Because if they say a whole bunch of millions of people are already watching it, historically, that gets a whole bunch of people to go, well, there's already millions of people watching it. And I hear that laugh track. I guess it's funny and I should be watching it too. I mean, I'm not trying to say that we're all that simple, but in a way we kind of are, and we kind of have been globally because we trusted Nazis with these things that got launched up there, and then a whole bunch of companies were created. And again, do you think those companies got created to exploit those broadcast satellites like there wasn't some union between the ones that launched them and the places that used them? Companies like CNN, they're just as much a Nazi invention as NASA. I'm saying these two things go together like peas in a pod. But again, we can be forgiven because what choice did we have? What difference did we? I mean, it's always been up there raining down on us. The Nazis, their name manifested. We did not see what the Nazis did. So it's forgivable. But please get quick about acknowledging it, those of you who haven't, that that's the problem. And once you get that, it's kind of easier to get around it. Now, but remember, guys, a lot of the people that you think are your saviors that you're going to run around right now rewarding or whatever, that's just 2.0 and 3.0. I don't really want to get into the Elon Musk thing tonight, guys, but like, yeah, stop buying that bullshit. He's another 3.0. And again, I will not debate that issue in here. I'm not going to do it. But that whole Twitter debacle and all of it, it's just another part of it, guys. It's another part of controlling perceptions. It's another part of making sure they've got a new character fresh and waiting to go for you to lead you. And you don't need leaders. Self program, manifest your own reality, fire the wizard. You don't need the wizard. The wizard keeps telling you desperately, like, you need me, watch my show. War, famine. Oh, look what this fashion company's doing now. Ha 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 ha. Darkness, child predators, har har har. War, Ukraine, yeah. But it's Nazi, 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 Nazi. Running around and manifesting and getting all of us to manifest through these exact same broadcast media outlets. And most of them are just freaking Nazis. And why should we be doing their why should we be programming their physical reality for them by watching their bullshit shows? See, they know what that does, guys. The more we watch their programming, the more it impacts us here. It hits us right here. Then we generate this 3D prism, pineal gland. We focus and concentrate on the show. Pineal gland's right here. Everything we visualize, input, output, input, output. The ears take in audio frequencies. This takes in the light frequencies. And it all goes to the back of the pineal gland where we add in our bions and we begin to generate physical reality. So, knowing that, why would you want to add in a little bit of Nazi here, a lot of Nazi there, a little bit of witchcraft here, a little bit of Nazi there, a little bit of deep state shenanigans here? Because, see, that's what you're consuming when you actually witness their bullshit news shows. They just want you to witness it, even if it's to be critical. Remember, like what Trump said, all publicity is good publicity. You know why? Because he understands a biofield. He understands that every time a person thinks about him, his name expands like this biofield does. You send bions to him. You visualize him. You see his image in the 3D spectrum. The best thing you can do if you're a person that hates the guy is ignore him. What do you think that people who hate me do? They go out of their way to eliminate my influence, and they themselves go out of their way to ignore me. See, I know what the wizards do. I know their actual methods. Once you know the wizards, you know the wizards' methods. They don't even want to let you into their perception. If you say, like, if I create a documentary, they will make sure they don't listen to it. They'll make sure that they don't hear it. They'll make sure that they hear and see as little of it as humanly possible, because they don't want to manifest it into physical reality. They don't want my words even entering into their eardrums to program them. They don't want to witness my image saying these words, because that could program them potentially. They see it that way. I promise you guys, I'm not trying to program anybody here. I just want people to understand the game. Getting you to witness is an occult process, because you generate bions that they can get you to send to whatever they want you to focus on by going boo, or, fashion scandal. Focus on all the minutia, and now you've generated bions that begins to help them. So don't do it. And I say we're not going to do it anymore. I say that to the best of my ability, I'm not going to feed that beast. And I hope that you will, to the best of your ability, not feed that beast. Because that's really what it is. It is them actually taking something that's it's a spiritual concept that they're exploiting to manifest a darker reality through us. And we don't have to accept it, and we don't have to help them do it. And so my way of doing that was I shut off all that crappy news programming. I stopped witnessing it. I pretty much never witness it. There's been that rare occasion where I'll turn on the television and I'll flip channels for a while and I'll be like, why did I do that? I mean, I know right away that my brain got assaulted. Now I'm hip to it. And I'm not saying that like in any sort of like way of like going, oh my God, my brain got assaulted. Well, it's kind of that dramatic though. In a way, you should kind of perceive it that way, because that's its intention. Especially the shit that's coming out nowadays. It's almost exclusively to program, not entertain, not influence at a base level. No, no. These people are doing high level sigil, like industrial strength, collective hive mind sigil magic. You got to study the occult a little bit more to get what they're doing. But quite a few of these quote programs and television shows, no, no, no. It's witchcraft, ladies and gentlemen. You need to sort of get hip to it. I'm not suggesting you practice it or delve into it to the point where you like start using Ouija boards and shit. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Don't participate, but understand it. Understand what these occultists do when it comes to getting you to witness. Why do they want your attention, even if it's negative? They almost prefer that it's negative. They kind of want you pissed off at them. They love those energy links. Don't give it to them. Remember that line, all publicity is good publicity. That's somebody that understands energy harvesting, good and bad. See, you can be a good person and know that. You can be a good person and go like, hey, you know what? Even if these people that are out there hate me, they're feeding me energy, so whatever. I mean, it doesn't make you a bad person to understand that about the concept, but do get it. There's a war on for our minds, ladies and gentlemen, and the mainstream media, especially the news cycle, is definitely a part of it. So, Well, folks, I'm going to sign off. I was actually only planning on doing like about a half hour on this, and I ended up on doing 2 hours. So, hey, I guess I haven't lost that part of me, but I'm a little bit rusty on doing my presentation. So, forgive me if I was dry at first and it took me a little time to get going. Or if I've been dry the whole time, hell, just give me some time to warm up here, folks. I got to get a little bit used to doing this again. But I do have a lot on my mind and a lot of things that I want to discuss and everything like that. And you're going to be hearing more, but I'm having to just sort of think a little bit more about how I want to structure it, because before I would do a little bit more of the and take this and take this, instead of like doing the material that more like I want it to be more about what I did tonight, guys. I don't want to spend time focusing on the material that they themselves are in the words that they use and the people and the characters. I want to focus on the method that they're using so that we can go, oh, that's what they're doing. So, all right. Well, I am going to be going offline here shortly, guys. So if you got anything else you want to say, let me know. If you want to write me, contact me, or anything else like that, I do believe all that. I did put that in the description section. If not, let me know, or I'll put them in there right after this is all done, and that kind of thing. But hope you've been enjoying the sunsets, and if it's getting redundant, let me know. But I'm still enjoying doing it, so it's just such a nice thing, guys. I didn't get to enjoy sunsets for the longest time. I'd be stuck inside a plant, like staring outside, kind of going like, man, I want to be out there. I can only see through this one little hole where this flap opens up for like 8 seconds at a time. And like, oh, I want to go out there. All right, guys. So, all right. Thank you for joining. Have a good night. And we'll see you on the next one. Good night and good morning.